Hello everyone. My topic for the paper is simulation in biology teaching using low-cost materials for senior secondary and secondary level and to establish its connection with the positive academic outcome. Next. Introduction of the topic. Now why, as a teacher I have felt that certain topics in biology is very difficult for the students to receive, that is topics like cell, biomolecules, genetics, protein synthesis, replication, etc. Now why this difficulty? It is just because the students find it very difficult to correlate between the cell, microscopic structure and the real life classroom situation, because of which there is a difficulty in understanding which affects students' achievements, and as a result it demotivates them to take up biology for their higher classes. Now this cycle goes on and then as a result it is difficult to get very positive outcomes in the subject. Now let us put some stress on the effective learning pattern. It is possible to get effective learning once we establish connection between the topics. How is that possible? If the students can visualize the electron microscopic structures at the macro level in class. And how is that possible? That can be achieved only by simulating certain cellular structures in the classroom using low-cost teaching aids. These are the objectives. I had taken 3 objectives: to devise innovative low-cost teaching material. The second objective was to train and encourage the biology teachers of my department and the students to use them, and at the end to find whether there is a connection between positive academic outcomes and the creative use of low-cost teaching aids. These are the keywords. Now, why do we use low-cost teaching aids? 4 points: self-reliance, we need not depend on any other aid, no fear of loss, maintenance and repair costs are very low, helpful for the teachers, active method, group work, fun in learning. Now, what is the necessity to empower the teachers of my school to use low-cost teaching aids? I come from a school where all the resources are provided. The teachers need not make any teaching aids because they have smart class modules uploaded in the classroom. They have ready-made specimens, they have models and charts. But still, what is the need to make such aids? Apart from the previous points, one very important point what I felt is most of the teachers in my school, they were not aware of any low-cost material, and neither did they ever use any low-cost materials. But I have been using these aids since many years, and I found it very interesting for the students. So I thought of taking up this project of training the teachers as well as the students. Now, sample size and population. For this study, I selected the students, all the students from class 9 to 12 of my school. There were about 450 students from 9 to 12, and out of which I have selected 100 students for my study by random method. And at the same time, 25 teachers of my department were selected to take the training. Now, research methodology, the whole research was divided into 2 phases. In the first phase, there was a teachers training program where all the 25 teachers were given training of how to use low-cost teaching aids and they were equipped to use those teaching aids in the class. The feedback was obtained from the teachers in the form of a questionnaire before training and after training. And at the end, there was a questionnaire. Now, there are some pictures where teachers are shown taking the training. The next phase of the research included the students, where the whole process took place in one academic session. So the first 6 months students were taught without the use of low-cost teaching aids. They were taught using the specimens, they were taught using the models, charts and smart class modules. But in the second term, apart from those things, also the low-cost teaching materials were introduced, and their result of the first and second term was evaluated and the analysis was taken. Now, this is the classroom teaching with simulation. In the first picture, we can see the lac operon has been explained to them with the help of a low-cost teaching aid. Here, this is a very interesting aid where as the enzyme passes through, we can show them gradually the proteins are coming out from each of the genes. This is the second aid where DNA replication, it is a kind of a game where different combinations of nucleotides were given to them and they could assemble the complementary match and they could make a new DNA sequence. This is again another game going on. This is one Ganong's potometer, simplified version. Now this Ganong's potometer is such an apparatus which we teach them every day what is the use, but this is, we don't have any experiment related to it, because of which we don't keep Ganong's apparatus in the classroom. So this is a simplified version of Ganong's apparatus which they can use, and they can at least take some readings using this. This is one more interesting thing, simulation of a compound microscope. Nowadays everyone has a mobile camera. If you have a mobile camera, using one lens from the laser pen, you can just fix it on the back of the camera lens and you can take very interesting images, like this is a sugar grain, insect hydra, this is the dhania's root hair, these are the pollen grains, and the last picture has been clicked by my daughter, 10-year-old. So I just want to show that this is such a camera which can be used right from the students of 5, 6 years, class 5 and 6 to students of class 12. This is a simulation of protein folding. The first two has been done using beads inserted into a copper wire, and the last one, this is a final quaternary structure of the protein which we can very easily do if we take some gift wrapping material. This is the simulation of protein folding. This is the simulation of chromatin to chromosome during the cell cycle, replication of DNA. This is one interesting game of protein synthesis where we have ready-made strands of mRNA and there are 20 amino acids anticodons. So there is a codon-anticodon match which the students do depending on what mRNA sequence they have got. So this is how they can make their own polypeptide if they know the mRNA sequence. This is one DNA replication process going on inside the classroom. This is one interesting game of Mendel Mania. So I found that the students find these concepts like phenotype, genotype, homozygous, heterozygous, dominant, recessive, these combinations they cannot very easily write in the exam, and in the question paper pattern they have marks for writing each of them. So this is a game, 30 card game, which has been devised, and 4 to 5 students can play this, and once they make their possible combinations, they have to announce it to get the marks. So by this they can have these concepts regarding the genetics very clear in their mind. Now for the survey, I gave 2 questionnaires, one to the students which comprised of 10 questions and one to the teachers which comprised of 8 questions. Now both the questionnaires were given to them before the test, before the training to the teachers as well as after the training, and the students were given these questions after the first term when they were not taught using the low-cost aids, and again after the final term where they had a 6 months training classes taken with the use of low-cost teaching aids. The collection of data with the help of questionnaires. I would like to straight away come to the graphical analysis where we can see that this is the questionnaire given to the teachers before the training and the 4 questions were asked. The first 2 questions talk about whether they are aware of the low-cost teaching aids. It was seen that they were unsure and most of them were disagreed that they never used the teaching aids in their class. Last 2 questions, 3 and 4, discussed about the disciplinary issues in the class. So like since ours is a boys' school, teachers have to handle day-to-day disciplinary issues, and the teachers, although most of the teachers could handle the disciplinary issues, but they did not find that the students are asking thought-provoking questions in the class. So these 4 questions were asked before the test. After the test, when the same questions were given to them, we see that the teachers very much agreed that it is very essential to use low-cost teaching aid regarding those topics, as well as the classroom became livelier, students started asking thought-provoking questions, and the discipline issues also teachers, more number of teachers could handle the disciplinary issues in the classroom. The last 4 questions regarding the which were given to the teachers, the first question number 5 and 6 talked about how they feel when they are inside the class, whether they feel empowered, whether they enjoy the teaching learning process. So in question 5 and 6, we see that the teachers were not very sure whether they are enjoying the classroom. They are simply going to the classroom, delivering the lectures and then coming off. Question number 7 and 8 talks about whether they think the teaching aids should be inculcated. So there also before the training, teachers were not sure. After the training, when the same 4 questions were evaluated, it was seen that teachers feel empowered. They are more confident when they take those teaching aids in the class, because the classroom disciplinary issues are removed and the students are engrossed in the teaching learning process. And the 7 and 8, question number 7 and 8 tells that all the teachers agreed that it is very important to inculcate these teaching aids, these games in the class while teaching those topics. Now next we come to the graphs regarding the students before teaching, like that is before means during the first term. Question number 1, 2 and 3 talks about their perceiving, like how they perceive the subject, biology. Now for most of them, biology is a favorite subject because we teachers already used many teaching aids in the class. Whether they enjoy the teaching learning process, do my biology classes help me to understand the key concepts? So they, regarding these second and third questions, they were very much unsure. Question number 4, 5 and 6, these talk about what the students felt about low-cost teaching aids. So for all these 3 questions, we can see that, especially the last one, does my teacher use low-cost teaching aids made from everyday things? All the students disagreed, because very few teachers use teaching aids, low-cost teaching aids inside the class. After the test, again we see we get a very good result, especially if we see question number 3 and 3, classrooms, do the biology classes help them to understand the concepts? Yes, very much, especially question 4, 5 and 6. Especially I would like you to concentrate on question number 6, where even this is the feedback which I have obtained from the students regarding the teachers, whether the teachers are obtaining using the teaching aids. Yes, all the students agreed, because all the teachers started using the aids and that gave a very positive response. Last 4 questions for the students are the teaching method and question number 7 and 8 tells about whether they are finding the subject interesting. Before the procedure, the students did not find the teaching teaching methods very interesting, whereas they found that the examples are quite enough for them to understand. After using the teaching aids, we find that there is a very positive response, where students agreed that they are understanding the key concepts, as well as they are more confident when they are sitting for the exam, because according to the last question, did the question paper cover the topics? This says that the students were more prepared for the test. Now we are comparing the first term and the second term result. In the first term, we see that this 30% and below and 31 to 45%, this failure and average results were like the number was quite high, 12 and 13, whereas in the second term we see that the students, when they wrote the biology exam for the second terminal examination, we see that there was a marked increase in the pass percentage. This is the conclusion. It was an invaluable experience for the participants in terms of teachers and students. Both of them were very enthusiastic. I must thank the teachers of my department that when something new has been taught to them, they took it very positively. They made their own teaching aids and they started applying it. The students enjoyed the classes and the activities. The study indicated that simulations were the preferred method. Teachers understood the importance of low-cost teaching aids, and it is important to simulate few concepts. Now especially this, teachers understood the importance. Like one very important thing I would like to say is, everybody, like in our lab, all the equipment, resources are present, equipments are there, but what is the use if the students cannot take it at home and they cannot use it at home? For this, these games and Mendel Mania and the microscope, students took it at home, and during their leisure time they were very much involved in playing those games. These are the few references. The best way, I would like to end with this quotation, the best way of learning about anything is by doing. Thank you.